A man and his boy own a small farm in the western United States. The pair of them run a small grocery store for the local residents and the weary travelers of the road. They live a quiet, simple life until one day a group of young city folk visit their grocery store. An accident occurs which results in the death of the man's son. Burning with rage, he visits the house of a rumored witch up in the hills to enact revenge. She accepts his wish, and this man thought these teenagers were raising hell at his shop. He has no idea what types of hell will be raised to punish these young souls. Maybe his own. Be careful what you wish for. This is It Records. Well, thanks for, coming back over the internet airwaves known as podcasts. That's what we're doing today. Going over the 1988 film Pumpkinhead, directed by Stan Winston.
Afraid raising the dead ain't within my power.
Will it be all right? Should I be afraid?
It's coming!
Looking for an old woman. She lives somewhere in the mountains hereabouts.
All she can do is take you straight to hell. You go home and you bury your boy.
Some folks say as how she's got powers.
Who are you?
Ed Harley.
What do you want, Ed Harley? Say it. You're looking for vengeance. Vengeance. Say it. There's an old graveyard way back deep in them woods. The thing you're looking for is in there.
It was an accident.
It's gotta run its course. Now it begins. It begins.
And it's his directorial debut, actually. And I'm not sure, I don't know if it's his only film, but I know for sure it's his first film that he directed.
Yes. I am looking it up right now because I didn't bother looking it up.
Pumpkinhead is a 1988 horror film that, after a tragic accident, a man conjures up a towering, vengeful demon called Pumpkinhead to destroy a group of unsuspecting teenagers. Pretty straightforward film. And I guess as you look up Stan Winston, I know this is his directorial debut, but he's more known for special effects. That was his whole claim to fame.
That makes sense with the monster.
Yeah, did you guys happen to look up any of the other films Stan Winston had a part in for special effects?
He has one other movie that he directed.
Which is what?
Homeward Bound.
A gnome named Norm.
Oh, that sounds promising.
Gnome named Norm?
Yes.
What year was that?
1990.
Alright. And
Okay.
we haven't heard from him since?
He's done some special effects. The last time he did special effects was Shutter Island.
Okay, so like 2010.
That's exactly right.
I think his big heyday, Stan Winston is known for, in like the late 80s, 90s, special effects, even really the 80s. This is 88. But I believe he did the Terminators, especially Terminator 2, Aliens, and Jurassic Park, the first three. Those come off the top of my head, and he might have done
Edward
some other ones.
Scissorhands is also up here.
Edward Scissorhands. And I believe he agreed to do this film as his directorial debut. He brought along a few other special effects guys with him to help him write it, and that if he could have control over making the monster. That was his big thing. If he was going to direct a movie, he could create whatever monster he kind of saw fit with Pumpkinhead.
I always thought Pumpkinhead was similar to the alien creature, like, guy. I thought he was involved, but maybe I'm incorrect.
Wait, Alien?
Yeah.
Like that? Yeah, Stan Winston did Aliens.
Oh.
So
Okay.
So it is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of that, like, I can't remember. He's like Norwegian or something. I don't know. That really weird. You know, he was like inspired from a painting to make Alien. That dude.
I'm not sure.
I'm looking it up because I forget.
Yeah, well, and speaking of aliens and the connection, our main character in this film, I believe his name is Ed Harley, is played by Lance Henriksen, who you might know that actor if you are well versed in, I don't know, Hollywood films. But he is in Alien. Or, no, he's in Aliens, plural, I believe. He plays one of the androids. So he was brought over, I believe, because of his relationship with Stan Winston.
Nice. I don't think I've seen him in anything before, so he was new to me.
Yeah,
I don't think he's
in
a lot.
He's in Alien vs. Predator, Near Dark. He is in Hard Target with Van Damme. I highly recommend that if you guys have not seen that movie.
Definitely haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't seen many Van Damme movies. Only
Oh, Bloodsport? Have you seen Bloodsport?
I've seen Bloodsport and Kickboxer.
Okay. As long as you've seen those, you're good.
And I've seen the
I think
one where, oh my god, Dennis Rodman uses a Coke machine to stop a bomb. from
Dennis
killing him.
Rodman?
It's called like
Double Team?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, alright. Double Team?
Yeah, I've
It's a good
seen
one.
that. My great uncle was watching it at his house. And then he was like, yeah, this movie's really good. And I was watching it with him, and it was really awful. And I thought that, like, and this was like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago.
I was just looking up, we were talking about actors in this film, Lance Henriksen, and I was going to say there's only one other person I really recognized, and his name is Mark, what's it? Sorry, not Mark. John D'Aquino, I think it is. He plays Joel in this film. He plays like the badass guy who's on probation.
Yeah.
I noticed him because he was in Third Rock from the Sun, but he's also in Seinfeld. So that's how I remember seeing
I didn't
him.
remember
Naturally.
him from either of those.
I could tell you in excruciating detail what he is in Seinfeld, but he just dates Elaine. I'll say that. That's his character. He dates Elaine.
Is he the guy he rides a motorcycle and he like gets injured or whatever? Is that him? No, that's not him.
He's the one who's like, he bet her that Dustin Hoffman was in Star Wars.
Oh,
if he's not, we'll go on a date. And Jerry's like, oh, that was it. Of course he knew Dustin Hoffman was in Star Wars. He just wants to go on a date. And it slowly evolves into he gets her to go to a dinner with his parents. And he's like, what? We're just going to dinner with my parents. It's no big deal. She's like, no, it's a very big deal. That's a very...
I remember now. I was like trying to think of like, because he was young in this movie, I was trying to think of a young guy, but he actually is probably like around like her age at that time, because I was like 10 years later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pumpkinhead, we can kind of go into the horror elements of it. I chose it this week. This was a Matt pick for the It Records podcast. And I chose it because I felt like it fell into the genre of a creature feature, which we haven't really done any of those films in a while, such as like Critters would fall into that. Or you could really say even like Jaws could be a creature feature to some extent. Or it's a monster really, but just a creature feature horror film. I still think it falls into that category. Would you guys agree, or think it falls into any other subgenre?
Creature feature for sure.
It's definitely a creature feature. I mean, it's kind of like it's got slasher elements to it because it's like in a cabin, and it's like slowly fucking killing teenagers.
Yeah, there's a body count. I read this, so I wasn't counting myself, but the body count is 7, but only 4 were killed by Pumpkinhead, so I'm like, okay, wait, what am I missing?
Interesting.
So the kid died, not from Pumpkinhead.
Right, that's kind of the start of. Well,
And
the first
also,
death in the film was
He
actually.
didn't get hit. He didn't get hit that hard by the motorcycle. Let's say that he got
Agreed.
a little boo boo. he got the wind knocked
Okay,
out of
but
him,
like,
and the kid fucking died.
okay, but the kid's like 8, and the motorcycle is coming at him like how many miles per hour?
I would say 10. I would say 10 miles per hour, because he's braking or at least steering away.
Yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't a grotesque, brutal death, but the kid did pass away from a motorcycle accident, which is really the catalyst of the story.
Yes. So the grieving father then, at first he wants to bring his child back, of course, but he seeks out the wise witch of the mountain. I don't really know what her title is exactly. She tells him that it's not possible. Well, he decides the next best thing is to seek revenge. Which he's warned by her that if he is after revenge, it's going to come at a terrible price. And he's like, no, I want to do it. Let's do it. So they proceed.
I don't care what it costs.
Pretty much.
And then he does.
Yeah. So, he wants to seek revenge on the teenagers that were responsible for his child's death. Really, there's only one teenager that was responsible for it. Like, they were all kind of in a group, he's mad at them all, but really, it was just one of them's fault.
Well, yeah, because the other ones were very sympathetic. I felt like they wanted to call the police and get an ambulance. And he's like, I'll wait for the dad to come back. And Joel's like, I'm on probation for... like something else, another murder or whatever. I can't get caught
I've been drinking.
Yeah,
I
I've
can't
been
do
drinking.
it.
But that's a strong theme throughout this film that I feel like is prevalent with slashers is revenge. And even though all of them weren't really at fault, as you said, they're all going to pay the ultimate price for
I like how the
killing
most
this kid.
innocent people died first.
Yeah.
Like the woman who felt very sad died. The kid who tried helping the boy fucking died. I was like, oh, the most innocent people are dying first, and then it's like the punky teenager on probation dies, getting stabbed with the gun. Interesting way to go.
Yeah, he was one of the last, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's the body count of 7? I guess there's probably one in the very beginning was a flashback.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one. The young boy is 2.
Yeah.
The one girlfriend who was the most sympathetic to the kid dying, who started crying, she gets killed first, and then her boyfriend, I believe.
No, her boyfriend dies first.
Okay.
But yeah.
Joel dies. His girlfriend died as 6.
His girlfriend died before him. That's what happened.
Yeah. He sees her in the kitchen. So that's 6, and 7 must be Ed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all?
I think so.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I'll put the sound effect in there, too.
Full spoilers already.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah,
been
full spoilers
30
on that
years.
last one.
But yes.
Yeah, you know what? Movie's been out for a while. We don't have to give spoilers anymore. Fucking watch it. If you don't want to watch it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
30 years of Pumpkinhead.
So the way that this works is when you summon the Pumpkinhead, which to be clear, I was kind of holding out for a pumpkin-shaped head. That's not what this is. He's just called that, or it's just called that because when you go to dig up this corpse, to make everything start happening, it's all it is. It's in a pumpkin patch. That's why it's called Pumpkinhead. No other reason. But I guess the witch takes the little boy's blood and the father's blood and kind of it's mixed in there when he's digging up this corpse. So that's why when Pumpkinhead is acting and like committing these murders, that Ed starts to experience it through the monster's eyes.
I actually completely forgot about that part because I've seen this movie before, and I just did not remember this movie literally at all.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, the kid dying, I remember that. I remembered Pumpkinhead the monster, and I remember like the dad being like regretful and trying to kill the monster. Those are the only things I remember.
Yeah.
Well, the plot is it's pretty much the plot. I think most of the movie is why it's a cult film. Most people don't know about it unless you like know horror films. Is not for the story, but the creature is pretty cool looking, and like the atmosphere. I felt like I got, at least when I first saw it. This is my first time viewing it, by the way. I got like a Sleepy Hollow vibe at the beginning that Tim Burton did. Really created an atmosphere, the mise-en-scène, and those colors of like what we were getting into, especially with the witch, because there's that witch in the woods in Sleepy Hollow as well. I think the film did a really good job of that. It really felt it, for being a low, not many story elements going on. Like when he's digging up the Pumpkinhead, like it's like all that fog is coming in, and he's like up on that mound digging out Pumpkinhead. Like that's a really cool set, I thought. And it really provided a different layer to the film. Made it seem like an old urban legend.
Yeah. I wish it kept like kind of like the atmosphere from the beginning of the movie, like throughout like the whole time, or like at least when the Pumpkinhead was like summoned. Like you said, there was like scenes where it was really cool, but I wish like once Pumpkinhead was like summoned, like the whole atmosphere would be like that until he was gone. I wish it was like that. I think that would have made the movie cooler, because there are cool things about it, like the creature and like the atmosphere, but I wish the atmosphere was more in the forefront with the monster.
Yeah, well, and speaking of the monster, and I think Lindsay, you touched on this, when Ed basically calls on this demon to revenge his son's death, he has to use his blood and his son's blood to resurrect the demon. There's the interesting element, I thought, that Ed then has to witness through the eyes of Pumpkinhead when he's killing the victims.
Right.
Did you guys like that piece of the story?
Yeah, I think that added
a
more unique element to it, and kind of causes the main character to experience his regret and like, oh, this is way too much. Like, this is more than what I bargained for. So yeah, I think that was a really nice touch that you don't see that too often.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think you get that revenge plot a lot, or at least that anniversary revenge plot in slashers a lot, but you don't get that tragedy human element from the monster all the time. And it's really not Pumpkinhead feeling remorse, but it's Ed having to see through the eyes of the monster killing these kids, and then he feels remorse, and he does regret doing what he did.
Right. Because he is still
it's
human.
Interesting.
Go ahead, Peter.
What are you gonna say?
I was just saying, like, he's feeling that because he's human. He's not a monster. He's just connected to it, so he's experiencing it as such. But what were you gonna say?
I liked how the monster basically was like you couldn't defeat it no matter the times you tried to kill it. Like, this is going near the end, but like it only got hurt when Ed got hurt, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Made him feel more connected, and I don't know, like another like unique layer to this like kind of creature feature that didn't have a whole lot of plot to it. It had had cool like elements to it, like with the just, I don't want to say world building, but like just kind of like what goes behind the movie, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And I think it gave the demon even more of a lore to it, that you kill Freddy he gets lit on fire generally, Jason drowns, the Pumpkinhead can only be killed once the revenge has taken place completely, or the person who enacted the revenge is killed.
You're setting
Because-
rules, and then you're following the rules to kind of make it make sense.
Right. Mm-hmm. They created that world. And and speaking of Freddy, I liked in this film, they had a song about Pumpkinhead, which is an element that Freddy has that Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, 3, 4, yada yada yada. They had those kids singing at the grocery store, and I don't have the lyrics in front of me. I wish I did, but they sing the
Yeah.
Pumpkinhead song because they're like, Pumpkinhead's gonna get you,
Yes.
and it kind of builds that world right there at the beginning.
Good point.
Yeah, it was a real boogeyman for that area.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder how often he gets summoned, because it seems like there's literally no one there besides Ed and his kid, those farm kids, and the witch.
Yeah. It's like a little ghost town.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But it at least seems to be, I don't know, spoilers alert, I already said that Ed is one of the victims in the film, but it does seem that Pumpkinhead is a repetitive cycle of how he works, where even though Pumpkinhead is killed, basically the demon is always resurrected when revenge is needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You just dig him up again out of the grave.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter that he was killed, because he'll come back at some point.
And I know there are sequels to this, which I've never seen.
Comic books, too.
I have not.
There's at least 2 or 3 sequels, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
There is a sequel that came out directly to video in '94 called Pumpkinhead 2 Blood Wings. And then there's 2 sequels after that, so 4 total. This third one's called Pumpkinhead Ashes to Ashes, and the fourth one's called Pumpkinhead Blood Feud. That was in 2006. Those were made for television on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yikes.
And the last I was heard of it was 2017. They were going to reboot the series from Saw executive producer Peter Block. But no updates
2017?
have happened since then. Yeah, 2017. There was discussion to reboot Pumpkinhead.
Huh.
I feel like
I feel like if it came out, people wouldn't know that it was a movie already.
they would or wouldn't.
Wouldn't. They
Yeah.
just think of it as a new movie.
It's not like a very successful franchise. It's not as recognizable, obviously as Freddy or Jason, as those movies are. And even Amityville Horror, even though that, I feel like we considered, a lesser franchise in our opinions, I would say.
Everybody knows what it is.
Yeah, everyone knows what it is. Because it's just, based on true events, and they've, remade it fucking enough times for people to remember.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you making your own song?
Well, there is a song about Pumpkinhead that not only in this movie, but the Misfits. The band The Misfits made a song called Pumpkinhead about this movie. And the music video is a bunch of clips from this movie.
That's really funny. I did not know that.
Yeah, I picked that up in research about this thing.
You should play the song.
Oh, I will, right? I'll play it underneath. Ode to the movie Pumpkinhead. Misfits.
That was the first band I saw in concert.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Proud for you.
It's not bad. It's not a first band to see.
I was with a bunch of friends and one of my friends' dad, and we were at the Congress Theater, which is now closed. but apparently being reopened. We'll see.
I guess I'd ask you, what did you guys think of the Pumpkinhead monster? I know we talked kind of around it, but the actual embodiment when you saw it. You can describe it as if you want as well, if people haven't seen.
A bit disappointing because I was expecting a pumpkin head, I think. So, yeah. You know, it was scary, but like in a different way than what I thought. What about you, Peter?
Okay.
I remember being really impressed with it the first time I saw the movie. I would say not so much this time around. Maybe I've just seen like just more like better creature features since then. I've still liked it this time around, but like I remember being very impressed with the movie when I first watched it in college because I rented it at school, and I remember thinking it was pretty sweet.
What do you think, Matt? First impressions.
I thought I was looking for a little more of a pumpkin as well. I don't know in what capacity, but I think it's an interesting looking monster. But Pumpkinhead seems like a misdirect a little bit to what it was. Scary, it just seemed like a combination of an alien from the movie Aliens, and it moved like a raptor in Jurassic Park, which Stan Winston had a part in both of those.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So it was, for instance, when Joel, who was like the asshole guy who killed the kid, like sees his girlfriend dead on the floor and like reaches out for her, and then you see Pumpkinhead like slowly come in the other hallway entrance. I was like, oh, that's a raptor from Jurassic Park. Oh wait, no, it's just Pumpkinhead. Like, it kind of entered the same way. It had like the same height, and they kind of had like the same arms. But
I love the raptor scene from Jurassic Park.
In the kitchen.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Do you guys know if this was a box office success or a flop by chance?
I'm pretty sure I know.
I'm gonna assume it's a flop.
Yes.
You're both going flop?
100%.
All right. Do you know the budget on the film?
Not so much.
I'm gonna say.
Would you guess it's high budget, low budget?
Low.
I'm saying $5 million.
Okay, $5 million. Lindsay, you want to take a stab?
Definitely on the lower end of things. Let's go for $3 million.
Okay. Lindsay would win by Price is Right rules. It's $3.5 million.
Whoa.
Was the budget. Very close. Box office, it was a success. Not a huge success, but it made back its money. It made just over like $4 million. $4.5 million. So it made $1 million profit.
I would argue, I mean, I guess probably it's a profit for this movie, but like most movies, I would say today, granted this is today's standards, you need to make at least double your money to really, if not more, because you spend so much in marketing.
I'm with you.
That's true. We should set up criteria for what is a box office flop and success. If it's double the budget, you're a success from now on.
I
We
feel
don't
like
make
that's
the
None of
rules.
this squeaking by marginal
like-
profits.
I feel like that's kind of like the rule of thumb, like right now, is like I always saw it is like you have to make double your budget to like at least cover the costs, obviously, of the movie, and then some extra for the marketing, and then everything after that is bonus. That's how I always saw it. I don't know where I got this information from. I couldn't tell you, but that's how I've thought about it for a few years now.
Did Avengers Endgame make back their budget? Was that a success or a flop?
I'm gonna say it's a success.
Was it? Okay, I didn't check
Yeah.
the numbers on
It's
Endgame.
it's only the second highest grossing movie of all time.
Well, it's the last bit of trivia tidbit I have before we want to go into Defend or Destroy here. Is this was based off of a poem. I can't find the poem. I don't know if you can, but I read that this guy named Ed Justin, I believe his name is, wrote a poem about Pumpkinhead, and that is technically what this film is based on.
I never
It's,
knew.
it's an adaptation. Just like right? Just like Mulan is based off a poem. You guys know that.
I did know that.
I think I learned that in film class. That's the only reason why.
That's the only reason why I know it too. I'm pretty sure we took the same class.
Just at different times.
Yeah.
Got any more trivia for us?
I don't really have anything more to share. I'm ready.
Well,
No.
I got one thing I'd like to, I want everybody to know. I read that the actor dog in this movie is also in Gremlins. So, he was building a nice little career back then. Also, Mayim Bialik is in this movie, I guess, but where? Mayim Bialik Blossom.
Let's see.
The dog's real name is Mushroom.
Aww. I don't know why, but I love that.
It's
One of the Wallace kids.
film debut.
Oh, what? I didn't know that.
Film
Mayim.
debut. I didn't even know who that was because I don't watch The Big Bang Theory.
I forgot she was on that too.
But Mayim Bialik, she was Blossom, right? In the old NBC show?
You got
yes.
it.
Before?
Why do you know that?
I'm rewatching Seinfeld, and they're talking about Blossom.
They talk about Blossom.
Blossom was iconic.
Season 4, they're in NBC. It's literally a poster behind Jerry and George as they're getting ready to pitch the show about nothing. Blossom.
I was like fucking barely alive when that show was on, so I don't know how. We are basically all the same age, so I don't know how.
I just watched a lot of
retain everything.
VH1 back in the day, and they had a lot of those countdowns.
So who would like to defend or destroy first?
Matt.
Me again?
Fire away.
All right.
It wasn't you. It was Lindsay last time.
I will, as I go into this defend and destroy, two things I wanted to bring up about the film is we mentioned that Pumpkinhead kind of mercilessly goes after all the kids, even though one's really the bad person. A reminiscent vibe of I Know What You Did Last Summer. One person hits the person, throws them in the river. They all kind of talk it out, but really one person was kind of leading that discussion. Thought I'd throw that your way, Lindsay. Freddie Prinze Jr.
Appreciate
You're
it.
a big fan. And the other thing was one of my favorite lines of this film was right after Pumpkinhead is resurrected and Ed starts to kind of, convulse or freak out and realize that he's kind of tied to this being. And he yells out to the witch, God damn you. And she responds, he already has.
Oh, that was chilling.
It was great. And it cut away. So, with that, I'll go into my Defender Destroy. I hadn't seen this movie prior. I'd kind of heard it or seen it on the Blockbuster shelves. I feel like growing up, it was always in the horror section, along with that Jack Frost VHS. That was the holographic cover. If you remember what I'm talking about.
Of course, never forget.
Okay, not just me. I'll commend the movie. I thought the creature was really cool, and the beginning had the atmosphere that was really building to something that I enjoyed quite a bit. It gave me that Sleepy Hollow vibe, as I said. I really like Sleepy Hollow, but it did lack, I feel like, a full story, and then it kind of lost that atmosphere, as Pete mentioned, as the film went on, and just kind of became the creature. And it could have used a little more punching up in the storyline, but it's creative. I enjoyed that, but I will destroy Pumpkinhead.
Bold.
Ooh.
Alright, well, no mincing words. honestly, I feel kind of very middle of the road with this one, but since that's not an option, I'm gonna go with Destroy also. I didn't think it was like that bad, but you know, in it being a horror film, I thought that it really kind of lacked the suspense that I was hoping it would have. I did like how they had, as we mentioned, the tie-in with Pumpkinhead and Harley, you know, making it so personal, you know, with the blood connecting them kind of thing. But ultimately, it wasn't enough for me. So, yeah, it's going to be a destroy for me.
That's a good point about it kind of lacked the suspense, I thought, where that I wanted to see with the Pumpkinhead. It kind of felt always kind of slow. I felt like when he was coming into the scene, and it lacked that kind of it kind of lacked that terror.
Yeah,
that I look for, and like even Michael has. Even though Michael Myers is slow in Halloween, it's ominous when he's in the camera.
But it also just has like an amazing soundtrack at the same time. That kind of like.
Oh, Pumpkinhead? Oh, I
know.
No.
You know I'm talking about Halloween. Come on.
Yeah, I do.
All right, Peter.
It's not looking good for Pumpkinhead. Pumpkin Patch creature, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what a better name would for it be. Alien 2.
Mm-hmm. Alien meets Raptor.
I still think it's a pretty cool monster, even though it's a blatant ripoff of his other creations. I think ultimately I'm still gonna defend this movie, even though I don't like it as much as I did when I first saw it. Like, wasn't as impressed, or basically it was a lesser experience for me overall. On my second viewing, I would say. But there's still enough there for me to appreciate. Like, I like the creature and some parts of the atmosphere, and it's a fun movie to kind of watch. Like, I don't know, like watching a big group, or like, I don't know, kind of have fun with it. So it's just like, there's just enough there that keeps me going. That's all I got.
That's a great point. That you said it'd be good to watch in like a group of people. There's definitely nothing Halloween in this lore or in this story, but what this podcast did in October was like a horror movie every night of October. It would definitely, I think, fall like into that category. Like, you're trying to see a new horror movie and it's October. This will definitely cultivate that like October Halloween vibe, and it's one you haven't seen, and it's like one to watch with a bunch of people. But on its own, like in the middle of May and June, I don't know if you want to check into it.
Yeah, it's like one of those like throwaway fear fest that AMC does during Halloween. That they like, okay, we played all the Michael Myers movies, we played all the Jason movies. What the hell else do we got?
We played all the Omens. We played the Puppet Masters.
Fucking Pumpkinhead.
I feel like if ever I turned on AMC in the middle of the day during October, it was like an Omen or Jason Goes to Manhattan.
I just watched that for the first time.
Oh, really?
And I was going to say, I very much enjoyed it.
That is not a unanimous defend or destroy from us today. You have 2 destroys, 1 lone defend from our friend Peter. But until next time, get at us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll have news coming your way about any news information in the genre or any mini episodes along the way. Get at us on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our website. Let us know if there's any mini episode you'd like us to do, full-length episode you'd like us to talk about, and just keep up to date on everything with the podcast on our website. And like us or subscribe on iTunes. It really helps people get the word out about us. But until next time, I am Matt Johnson.